Hi, my name is Emily Vale, and I am the DFW Sales Manager with Starcrest Realty. Welcome to Session 1 of many to come, called Hitting a Home Run with HUD. And what we're interested in doing is helping you as the real estate agent who is interested in selling HUD homes or is out there trying to sell HUD homes, to help you do it better than everyone else, to really shine and excel at selling HUD homes. And we're going to do that by giving you a series of courses on YouTube that help you with the process one step at a time. We're going to start with the basics in helping you register for HUDHomestore and enter a bid. But we do have a wonderful class that we offer that is a full 3-hour hitting a home run with HUD that goes just from A to Z in how to be successful in selling HUD homes. We do offer those both in the DFW market as well as Houston, and we offer them pretty frequently. If you're interested in that in the DFW market, you can email me at evale, E-V-A-I-L-E, at starcrestrealty.com. In the Houston market, you can email our sales manager there, Tommy Smith, at tsmith@starcrestrealty.com. We'd be happy to share with you what the upcoming dates are, get you registered for that. Two awesome things about that class besides the great information. One is that it is free of charge. It is available to you free of charge. And the second thing is it does offer 3 hours of MCE credit. So that's a great bonus for you. Would encourage you to email us and take a look at getting yourself into that class. Now, when you are starting out with selling HUD homes, the first thing you want to do is register yourself as a bidder on HUDHomestore. So if you go to HUDHomestore.com, you'll notice in the upper right hand corner there is a register option. 2 links there, public and bidder. You are going to register as a bidder because you are a selling agent. When you click on that bidder link, it is going to take you into the bidder registration screen. You can see part of that here. It's going to ask you to set up a username and password and answer some security questions. Now, I would encourage you to write this down and keep it somewhere safe, because if you're trying to enter a bid and later on down the road and it's 11 o'clock at night and HUD's closed and you can't find any help and you can't get in and you don't have your security questions that you can refer to, then you're not going to be able to enter that bid, and maybe it was due at midnight. So be really cautious that you make sure and either write this down or make it something that you can really remember, and it is case sensitive. Now, in addition, kind of below, you're going to also enter some information about you. So your contact information, your license number, your broker's information, and so forth. And once you've done that and submitted it, then it's going to register you and make HUDHomestore available for you as a bidder. Now, once you've logged into HUDHomestore, you're going to see this screen, the welcome screen. And it's going to give you the ability to drill down and search for different properties. Now, you may know exactly what property you're looking for and have the address of the property or even the property case number. You can enter those things here and go directly to it with the search feature. But another cool thing you can also do is, let's say you've got a client who's looking for a property in Plano within a certain price range with 4 or more bedrooms and 3 or more bathrooms. You can actually go in and enter all of that information in the search criteria and click search, and it will give you a list of properties that meet your criteria. So you can either drill down to particular properties or to a range of properties that way. Now, another cool thing I want to point out here is the buyer type in the far left hand lower portion of the screen. If you have, let's say, an investor who is interested in purchasing HUD homes. Now, I know a lot of people say, oh, investors can't buy HUDs. Absolutely not true. Great deals for investors on HUD homes. You just have to be careful that it is a property that is available for investor bids. I'm going to show you a little bit more about how to determine that. But here, if you drop down the buyer type, it will show you investor, owner-occupant, and some other options, good neighbor next door, nonprofit, and so forth. So if you're looking for investor properties, you can choose investor and click on search, and that will take you directly to only properties available for investors. So that's kind of cool. Now, moving on, I have put in my parameters. I've clicked on search. Next, we're going to come up with a list of properties. They're going to have some symbols here you need to understand. First, there's the new listing, the little red button with a new. That just tells you that it's newly listed in HUDHomestore. Price down means that the price has been reduced. Initially, HUD homes are all listed at the as-is appraised value. But if they are marketed for a period of time and HUD believes them to need a reduction in order to be marketable, then that will happen and you'll see that symbol. Another one you need to be aware of is the check mark. Now, a lot of these HUD properties, or not a lot, but some will be in that kind of lower price point range, below $40,000, that would represent a commission of less than $12.50 at 3%. HUD is going to designate a portion of those as hard to sell and offer a minimum $12.50 commission. So I have personally sold a property that was less than $15,000, but it did have a $12.50 commission. So that's kind of a nice side benefit if you're working hard to sell all of those properties. Alright, so I have searched for a particular parameter of properties and I get a list that I'm going to see here. Now there's some information, just some basic information about each of these properties listed here. The price, that status we discussed, bedrooms, bathrooms. The listing period is either going to show as extended, exclusive, or sometimes you'll see lottery. The lottery you don't need to be so concerned about unless you're trying to help someone with Good Neighbor Next Door. Lottery is basically a pre-marketing period before it becomes available to the general public. Either it's available to nonprofits, government agencies, or in some cases to officers, firefighters, teachers, etc. through the Good Neighbor Next Door program. We will actually do a session later on about Good Neighbor Next Door, so keep your eyes open for that. It also shows the bid open date, or the end of the next bid period. And then on the far left-hand side of the screen, you'll see the property case number listed there. And that is actually a hyperlink. So if I see a property there that my client would be interested in, or that I want to get some more information about, I'm going to click on that hyperlink and it's going to take me into the details on that property. And here's what you'll see. It gives me the case number, the eligible bidders, which in this case, this is an exclusive listing period, so it is only available to owner-occupants, nonprofits, and government agencies. It gives me the bid submission deadline and how much time I have remaining in that initial bid period. Now, it also is going to give you some information on this property info tab regarding the property itself. The address, beds, baths, square footage, just some basics. A couple of things I want to point out here to you that are important. One is the appraisal date. Now, you know with FHA, and this is an FHA appraisal, that appraisal will expire. So you need to speak with your lender that you're working with about how long they'll honor that FHA appraisal. It's good up to 6 months. Sometimes lenders will tell you 3. So you need to verify that and then see what that date is. And that could be a potential stumbling block for you in having to get another appraisal. So be sure you've got your eyes wide open for that. Now on the right hand side, on the listing information, tells me the list date and the listing period. Exclusive means owner-occupant only at this point. As far as I'm concerned, I can't bid for nonprofits and government agencies. I'm a selling agent. So for my purposes, it is available for owner-occupants, not for investors. Now, the list price and the as-is value in this case are the same, meaning this one has not been lowered. It is priced exactly at that FHA as-is value. Now, this particular property is showing up as uninsured. You're going to see one of 3 statuses there under FHA financing, either insured, uninsured, or insured with escrow. Insured means that you can get an FHA 203B loan to work, no problem. You've got your appraisal in hand, you can just get it and move. Insured with escrow means that it will qualify for 203B, but with some repairs that need to happen after closing. So there's, up on the addendums tab that you see there, there's going to be a property condition report. And that will detail out for you and your lender exactly what needs to be repaired and the amount that needs to be designated for that repair. This process is extremely lender driven. You need to make sure that you're working with a lender and that your client is working with a lender who understands how to get this loan done. It's very simple, but there are also some particular things that have to be at work, and your lender needs to know what they are doing in that process. This particular property is uninsured, meaning it is not eligible for any kind of 203B. financing, and that it is showing to be eligible for 203K. So that is an option for uninsured properties. So once I kind of see what I need to see here, and I determine that my client is wanting to submit an offer on this property, I want to get this offer in, then I'm going to click on that Submit an Offer button that you see down there below the arrow. Once I do that, it is going to take me to a screen where I have to verify who I am. Now, you're logged in as yourself, but you also have to verify a few bits of information before you can go down and enter the bid. You see there in the middle of the screen it says NAID type. You are selling broker. That is what your NAID type is. NAID is Name Address Identifier, and that is something that your broker is going to have in order for you to enter a HUD bid. So make sure you go talk to your broker and find out what your NAID number is. If they don't have one, you might want to talk to them about why they've chosen not to get one, and help them understand the benefits of enabling their agents to sell HUD homes. So you're going to enter your NAID number that you get from your broker and your real estate license number. Make sure it's your number and not your broker's number. Very important. Then you'll have a character string that you have to enter just for verification purposes, and then click on the Verify NAID number or button at the bottom. That is going to take you then to verify that information and allow you to actually go into the offer submission screen. This is what it's going to look like to allow you to input the offer. Now, what I'd like to do at this point is actually go ahead and go into a live screen that we can actually see the offer being submitted in real time. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, so here we are at the bid submission screen. In this particular property I selected, it is for owner occupants only at this point. It is an insured property, and it is listed at $125,000. I'm just choosing this one at random as an example. All right, so the first thing that you're going to need to enter is the purchase price of the property. Now, of course, this has to come from your client. It needs to be a number that they're comfortable with, understanding fully and being advised by you that this is a blind bidding process and there's no way to know what anyone else is doing. So you're going to need to have done a lot of research in advance, understand what the market is around it, understand what the property is really worth, and bid accordingly. The main thing you have to be sensitive to here is if your buyer is using an FHA loan, they already have the FHA appraisal in hand. They're not going to get a new one. So if this is listed at the appraised value, which in this case it is, then every dollar that they choose to go over the list price and overbidding is actually going to have to come in additional cash to close. So if they're doing a 3.5% down minimum and they overbid the list price by $500, they're going to have to bring that 3.5% plus $500. So you need to make sure you understand that, help your clients understand it, really know that process. So in this case, my client has decided they don't have a lot of extra money in their pocket, but they're really interested in this property. So we're going to go in here and we're going to bid a little bit over the list price just to try to differentiate ourselves. That way, if there are 3 or 4 bidders that are going at straight list price, we've just outbid them with $73. So that's something that you want to consider, really be smart about how you do that. Now, the next thing I'm going to enter here is the type of purchaser and what they are actually going to use as a loan. Now, in this case, I've got an owner-occupant purchaser who is going to use an FHA 203B loan. So I'm going to select that here. Now, you'll notice that the option for a 203B with repair escrow is actually grayed out. And the reason for that is that there is no repair escrow involved in this loan. That's already been determined. Now, if they were interested in doing a 203K in order to maybe do some renovations to the property, then that is an option as well. And then paying cash or applying for conventional or other financing not involving FHA. Now, the interesting thing is that HUD doesn't really differentiate between cash and conventional for the purposes of entering the bid. So if you're doing cash or conventional financing, you would click on this option. Now, moving on down, line 5 is for entering the closing cost concessions or seller paid closing costs. In this case, my buyer is actually needing a little help from HUD in this area. HUD will allow up to a 3% closing cost concession from the seller. However, this has to be inclusive of the owner's title policy. HUD does not provide owner's title policy. So what we have to understand there is that 3% including owner's title policy may not cover all of those closing costs that are needed for an FHA loan. As a matter of fact, they almost certainly will not cover it. So your buyer is going to have to understand that and be prepared to bring a little bit extra out of pocket for that, or get some help from the lender on that subject. So be educated on that and understand how that works. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to ask for the full 3%. I need to put a dollar amount in. I've calculated that in advance, and curiously what you're going to find is that if you look down at line 6A and 6B, those numbers represent the the listing agent commission and then the selling agent commission. That's going to be 3% in most cases. So you can kind of cross-check yourself here and know that that number is going to be equivalent to the maximum amount of closing costs concession I can ask for. So that gives you a little bit of a shortcut there. You're not going to want to change these numbers because that is hard-coded in there. It does kind of allow you to get in there, but you don't want to make those changes because that is actually the commission that's being offered. Now, in some cases you will see that with the $12.50 in there, again with those hard to sell listings that HUD is designated, you will sometimes see that. Now this number down here, line 7, is extremely important. This is the net to HUD. This is the number they're really concerned about. If I've got somebody who's entering a bid for full price at $125,000, but they have not asked for closing costs, then the net to HUD is going to be significantly higher than my offer of $125.73. So what I need to understand there and advise my client on is every dollar that you ask for in concessions is going to lower your net, and it's going to put you in a little bit weaker position than some other bidder who may not need those closing costs. So all things to consider in the process. Now line 8, purchaser is, you'll notice this is all grayed out. I cannot make a selection here. The reason is this is an exclusive bid period and this property is only available to owner occupants. Now nonprofit and government agency, you'll notice that's grayed out as well. Because I'm a selling agent bidder, I can't bid for those entities anyway. So my options are owner occupant or investor, and in this case only going to be for the owner occupant. Now line 10, very important. If seller does not accept the offer, seller may hold it as a backup. Guys, unless your client is just completely opposed to this, you'll want to make that selection. The reason is if for some reason you're not selected, maybe you're number 2, you're not selected as the winning bidder, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be selected. And what I mean by that is, let's say that the first bidder for some reason does not deliver their contract package, or they're unable to move forward for whatever reason, and their contract is canceled. If you're number 2 in line and you've selected to remain as a backup, HUD will automatically come to your offer if it is a sufficient net to HUD. So just because you didn't get it doesn't mean you won't get it. So you definitely want to stay in line there. That happens a lot. I've personally experienced that many times. Alright, so once I've got all that in, I want to put information about my purchaser. Guys, you are going to need their social security number. The only exception to that is if you're entering an investor bid in a business name. You could do it with the employer identification number. Otherwise, it has to be social security number and it has to be accurate. So sometimes clients are uncomfortable with this. If you prepare them for it in advance, they won't be. So you're going to enter that social security number. I'm just going to put in just a random example here for you because we're not entering a real bid. You'll notice I put the dashes in there. When I confirm it this time, I'm not going to. I'm going to see what that does for me. When I tab to the next field, it's going to auto format. Alright, there is no company name here. And I'm just going to enter John Doe as the example here for my client, and his address, that is his current address, so make sure you have that information going in as well. Now John Doe's wife is also going to be on the deed, so I'm going to enter her information as a secondary purchaser, and I've got her individual information as well. And I'm just going to place that in real quickly. Now guys, as you're entering this, you'll want to cross-check yourself. Make sure that wherever you've got that information written down that you're cross-checking it and ensuring that it is correct. You will have an opportunity to do that on the next screen, and I'll show you that in a sec. Now down at the bottom, it does have information about you as the selling agent. That is coming from your account. So you'll want to verify that that's all correct, but it should be automatically placed in there by HUDHomestore, so you don't have to worry too much about that. So this is pretty much everything I need to enter. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and I'm going to hit continue. Now don't panic, you are going to have an opportunity to view everything before you submit. And it tells you your bid has not been submitted, you need to confirm everything before you move forward. So I'm just going to go down here, I am going to take a look over everything really thoroughly, make sure it's all according to what my client wanted and all of that information is correct before I actually enter the bid. Now a lot of times what I'll do here as well is I'll go ahead and print this page just to give me a visual confirmation. So that's something you can do as well. I'm going to make sure this is all correct. Down at the bottom, I'm actually going to have to click here to accept the terms and conditions, and you'll want to read through all those very carefully. And then once you've made sure everything's correct and you've accepted the terms and conditions, you're going to confirm the bid. Now I'm not going to do this because if I were to confirm this bid, it would actually place the bid. So I'm going to have to stop here, but once you confirm the bid, it is actually going to take you to a screen that gives you a confirmation number. You will want to write that down or print it because that is going to give you the way that you're going to go back and find that bid later. Typically, depending on who the asset manager is, whether it is a Home Telos or First Preston HT, Matt Martin or a PIMCO property, you're going to find out somewhere between mid-morning the day after the bid deadline or up to about lunchtime. Now if you don't get an email confirming that you are the acknowledged bidder by about lunchtime on the day that they're opening bids, and that's all in HUDHomestore for you, then you can come back into HUDHomestore and search by that either address or by the last name of your purchaser, and there's a lot of different ways to search, and it's going to take you to your bid and show you what the status of that is. So that's a way that you can check on that. So very easy process for entering a bid. This is how you do it. And again, my name is Emily Vail. I'm the DFW Sales Manager with Starcrest Realty. And if you are interested in taking the full class, please email me at evail@starcrestrealty.com, or in Houston, email Tommy Smith at tsmith@starcrestrealty.com, and we'd be happy to give you information on that. Until then, watch YouTube. We're going to come out with more of these videos that teach you different parts of the process, and we thank you so much for spending this time with us today. Have a great one.